Hey guys, this is Adam with See You Later Leaner, and I am here with a special guest, Minhthy Lou. And this is long overdue. We've been trying to do this for a while, and you've been so busy.
Yeah, we've been just doing shows and shows and shows.
Shows and shows.
And then I started school again and work and everything. So we just never had the time.
Well, I like to, on these podcasts, talk about more than just the athlete. But we have to go over just like your season so far as an athlete. And this is the same Minhthy that you see on my Instagram without the green streak in her hair.
I know. I decided to get rid of it like right before St. Patrick's Day because that's when my hairstylist could get me in. So
That's funny. You didn't even take the last day to
I know.
get the green out.
I know. I didn't realize that until after because like I was walking around. People were like, "Oh, happy St. Patty's," and I was like, I can't believe I got rid of it the day before.
That's funny. So you got pinch, is what you're saying?
No, I was still wearing my See You Later Leaner green.
Hey,
So.
it's a good call. Well, thanks for joining. And we had a really exciting short journey in the start. I mean, I think you competed in about 10 weeks of us starting together, potentially even 8. It was quick.
I think first prep we did it like in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, like
we did it 6. Yeah, because we did it earlier, 2 weeks earlier than we had originally planned.
That's right. It was very fast, and you took the overall. So that was the Sin City Classic muscle contest, and then 2 weeks after that, we ended up going to the Titans, won the overall, which was awesome. So 2 in a row, and then of course we had went to the Olympia amateur at that point and didn't get the placing we wanted there, but then you went straight to Vietnam literally right after.
A month later. We went straight to Vietnam, and then I had I think like 3.5 weeks to prepare for Vietnam.
Yeah, well, you hit metabolic inferno mode there. We started raising food and she started leaning out pretty immensely, and even though we love that look, it sucked a little bit of the density out of your glutes away. So even though like sometimes we like the lean look, sometimes it's not the best look for an athlete. And I think that was the lesson that for some of your glute depth and density, you have some intramuscular body fat that gives you some of that dimension. And even though your glutes look tighter, then we take some of that pop away. So I think that's really important to talk about in Fit Model because, we're really achieving a bullseye look. And, you were very close to your pro card at that show, like maybe it could have made the difference. I don't think so. Like you and I talked about like just the outcome of that show. So I feel like, but it did, doing that show has helped us really fine tune your current look, which has given you, another overall, 2 overall experiences. So now you're a 4-time overall winner. The only thing is to put that cherry on top and get that pro card,
I think it's not if, it's a when, because I believe in myself too. And I'm not going to stop showing up, and I'm going to try to show up with a better package each time. Because yes, like it would be really, really nice to get my pro card, but I'm just really loving the process, enjoying like the sport of bodybuilding, like it was, I didn't go into the sport with the intention of, oh, I need my pro card. I need it like as soon as possible. Yeah, that would be cool. But like I've been able to compete in 2, international shows in 2 different countries, one of which is like my bucket list country that I've been wanting to go to for like a very, very long time. So it's just bodybuilding has just been like so rewarding despite like me not always getting the outcome that I want, because I feel like in bodybuilding, you're going to take more losses than you are wins. And I feel like as an athlete, you should know how to have the mindset to be able to take those losses with grace and like just move on and use the feedback from that and work on that and just keep coming back and bringing a better physique each time.
I agree. You came from powerlifting, as I chose bodybuilding as my main coaching agreement. I kind of left powerlifting aside to coach bodybuilding, and I liked it more because of the subjectivity. What about you? Like coming from powerlifting to bodybuilding, do you like the subjectivity or is that still difficult for you since there's a little bit of subjectivity with powerlifting with the green lights and the red lights, but do you enjoy the difference?
I guess I do and I don't. So I chose powerlifting as my main sport when I had considered bodybuilding, Olympic weightlifting, or powerlifting when I first got into weightlifting because all three of those sports really, really interested me. And I chose powerlifting over bodybuilding because there wasn't any subjectivity. Because I'm like, okay, I either get the lift or I don't. It's not like I don't have to worry about doing my makeup day of show day. I don't have to worry about doing a tan day of my meet, you know? I just have to worry about bringing my best performance. And it's not a complete black and white, but it's pretty close, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty obvious if I didn't get the lift, you know, and it's not going to count. So it took me a while to want to switch to bodybuilding because I was like, "Ugh," like there's so much subjectivity that goes into the sport. But I also came from like a competitive dance background before and pageantry before, which are very subjective. But I think that's was why I needed the change, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because I came from sports that was so like subjective before. I needed like the switch, like something that was more concrete, like yes, like that you got that lift, you know. But I really, really do enjoy. I love doing my makeup. So I do my own hair and makeup when I do all my shows, and I enjoy the process of doing that. I enjoy getting glammed up. So I don't mind the subjectivity that goes into bodybuilding because yes, we're getting critiqued by people and we're going to these shows seeking for their feedback, but that doesn't define my look. It doesn't define me as an athlete. It's their job. Like we come as athletes knowing we're going to get judged. So
Mm-hmm.
it's you can't really get mad about the feedback that you're gonna get. You're asking for it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I know that every time that I step on stage, I'm gonna be proud of the package that I bring, whether it's my physique, hair, makeup, or tan, you know? So and that's something that I'll always be proud of no matter the feedback and placing that I get.
Well, and you have been in control of all of that. Like I've seen, I think three now, you running into our room to do makeup. And it's cool to watch the process actually. I think that you're very skilled at what you do. And it's amazing that you can do all of it and manage all of it on your own show days. So I think that's really cool and very
Thank you.
unique to you. Kind of back to the subjectivity, you know, it's interesting because you mentioned at first you didn't understand the criteria. I think sometimes, like in the event of the Arnold Classic, you know, there's a lot of argument between Hottie Nick and Andrew on that placing. But I think what we forget as now being in the industry, we're no longer fans. We are now, you know, participants and we take the time to understand the criteria. And when we look at these comment sections on the internet, it's fans, it's family, it's friends, it's, you know, or people who just watch and don't understand the criteria commenting. And it does not make sense to a lot of people, but I really I really tell people like if you're a fan of the sport, like just get familiar with the criteria so then you kind of know what the judges are looking for. But then also like I think everyone in person looks different than they do on a live stream.
They
So
really do.
it's really important to also keep in mind you are watching through a camera lens and the judges have a different angle and the best seat in the house. So,
Like even at the Arnold, um, like when I was watching the live stream, right? It looked completely different than when they release like the individual posing routine videos. I'm like, that's not what they looked like on the live stream when I was watching it from home, you know? So like just even depending on the camera,
mhm,
like their physique looks so different, much less like sitting there in person and seeing a view of them, you know?
I agree. Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference being there versus, and then like which camera you're seeing it on. You know, the live stream camera is higher than what like your stage production video is going to be. So the one that the athletes are paying for is usually going to be a little bit better than the one, you know, that's free.
Yeah.
So that's one thing people kind of had to keep in mind. There's a budget for a reason, right? So, um, very awesome. Well, I'm very excited to do the rest of the season with you. And you've got a couple big sponsorships that we've got to talk about. So let's hype those up a little bit. So
Yeah.
tell us about who is supporting you through your journey and most recently.
So I'm super grateful and blessed to say that I am now sponsored by Angel Competition Bikinis. Use code Minty, MINTY, for a discount, or if you want to support me. So I had reached out recently after Japan, and they were so sweet and welcoming, and they were super happy to take me on as an athlete. So I am now just starting my journey with Angel Competition Bikinis. So I will be at my next show with some new colors, especially now with the hair. I have a lot more color options now that I don't have green hair to pick from. And then recently, I just got the news today actually that I won the linear bar competition that they do with muscle contests. So if you guys don't know, Linear Bar is a protein bar company, and they sponsor a lot of muscle contest shows. And they like to give back to athletes. So every single month, they do a competition for any athlete. And you can make a video with their product, and you get automatically entered into their competition. They do a first, second, and third prize, and they'll pay for registration for some shows, your tanning package, and photo and video package, depending on like if you win first, second, or third. And I just got the news that I won the first prize package today, actually, for when I entered in February.
That's so cool. Congratulations.
Thank
You
you so
definitely
much.
deserve it. You're really good with your content. You've got to tell us about that and like what you do.
So I come from a marketing background. I used to do marketing for a couple big cannabis companies back in California. And then recently when I came to Vegas, I went back to more like customer service facing because I had to step into a brand new market, moving to a different state. So just kind of re-getting my footing back on the ground. But I used to make a lot of long form content, do email marketing, text message marketing, the push notifications and all that. So I have a lot of background in just like content and like social media and graphic design and so on. So I'm trying to use that more on myself, because I've made so many companies a lot of money doing, these things for them. So I'm like, I should apply the same skill set to me as a brand and a person and invest that time back into myself. So that's something that I'm really trying to do in 2026.
Yeah. And you've gotten to do like marketing for things that you like and like even your own fitness journey. I think we have to talk about cannabis while we're here because as long as you're comfortable,
Yeah, of
because
course. That is my jam.
I think that's the difference is like when I grew up, cannabis was so frowned upon. Like you were a druggie if you used cannabis. And I had never really used until probably around COVID time, even like experimented with it. Now living in Vegas, have had some experience, but I don't have a whole lot of education on not as deep as you do. And that's one of the reasons I love hearing you talk about it because I definitely trust your knowledge. Um, Tell us like a little bit about like benefits and like different terpenes and whatever you're comfortable with sharing. I think it's such an interesting topic.
So when you were saying about like cannabis was super stigmatized, and you were like, my family still views it like that to this day. So
Same here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I also viewed it cannabis like that for the majority of my life. I didn't really experiment a lot with cannabis until I was like 17, 18, about to move out on my own, and a lot more after I moved out on my own, because my family views cannabis like as the same level as like narcotics, you know? So like they think like I'll be dead in a ditch if I go and smoke with my friends or something like that. So I was super, super scared of like consuming it or trying it. And then I tried it for the first time. I didn't love it when I first tried it because like as a high schooler, you're not smoking good quality weed. You're smoking shit that you get from your brother's friend, cousin, or something like that. And half the time it's like super old weed that's not gonna have any good benefits for you. So I just felt like, I was like, why do people like this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't feel good. And then I get into college and I, one, get diagnosed with ADHD. And then I was a bio major. So we had a whole unit on our body's endocannabinoid system. And like, our body creates its own version of that, like a chemical that's similar to THC called ACA. And I'm like, okay, if we have those receptors for it and we make a chemical similar to it, and this is a plant that's grown, it's not like artificially made in the lab or anything like some of our, pain meds that we have to take. I'm like, it can't be that bad for you,
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing a lot more research on my own about like cannabis, about like its health benefits and how it can help you. And I learned that there's a lot of proven ways it can help you with pain, with nausea, like so many different things. And I was like, I wonder if it can help, treat ADHD. So that's like what kickstarted like my interest into cannabis and like how cannabis plays with bodybuilding, right? So I have a hard time. I don't have a super big appetite, you know? So oftentimes, like if we're bulking, like right now, if I need to be growing and I need to be eating a lot of volume of food or just a lot of food in general, I have a hard time doing that. So I'll smoke something that's very high in this terpene called myrcene, because myrcene is kind of going to kickstart your appetite. It's what gives you that munchies. So myrcene and linalool. So like what a lot of people don't know about cannabis, it's not just about the THC percentage. Like you can, if you know enough about it, like in the state of Nevada, we got started as medical only first. So they value that a lot. So on all of the packaging, your cannabis products has to have the top 3 terpenes. It's not like that in California. California does not require you by law to have those on your packaging. So when I first moved to Nevada, I was like, this is so cool. Like I could actually be like really, really mindful about what I'm consuming and when I'm consuming it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got my start by consuming it medically, right? But now, obviously, I consume it a lot for recreationally too.
Yeah, yeah.
But like being in like Nevada allows me to be a little bit more mindful when I do choose to medicate, like for medical purposes and not recreational purposes.
That's
and as
really
of
cool.
recently, I've been doing more medical than recreational, aside from like when I have to work and make those videos of me getting really high and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, because then you're supposed to take the product
Yeah.
that, you're supposed to try.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's awesome. And I think it's really unique. And I also just knew people who were interested in your podcast would also kind of know your background a little bit. So you can definitely see Minhthy doing some pretty major toking on her Instagram here and there. So it is not a hidden fact. But you know what? I love everyone for who they are and every reason. And I agree, like being in Nevada is interesting because when Sarah and I had first came here, you literally have like someone in a lab coat, like, how do you want to feel or what side effects do you want to
Yeah, that's exactly what I ask
avoid?
people when they come into the dispensary. I'm not asking them like, oh, like what do you want to smoke? I ask them, how do you want to feel? Because the most people don't understand that different strains can give you different highs, and different terpenes can affect your high in a certain way. So I always ask people, how do you want to feel? Not like, what do you want to get? Because
Right,
they don't
yeah.
know what they want.
They don't know what they want.
They're just,
Yeah.
if I ask them what they want, they're gonna get one, either the cheapest thing, two, the thing with the highest THC percentage, or the most common strain name that they heard. And not like what they actually want, and that
Or
might not
just,
fit
like,
what they want.
Vanilla cream sounds great, so why not?
But that
or
one might
like
make you
whatever.
paranoid, and you don't want to be paranoid.
Right, yeah. No, that's funny. And I think like the education behind it's so important. And I think that's really, cool about you.
Yeah, I also I hate the stereotype of lazy stoners.
Yeah.
So like, as long as I have the lungs to keep smoking cannabis, and as long as I keep consuming, I will always try to disprove that stereotype that like stoners are lazy, because it's just, what are you gonna do with your time? You know what I mean?
You purposefully do things to make you productive. Like one's marijuana use, but another thing you told me was you go live on TikTok because you're a really amazing multitasker. I've seen this in person, hand in hand. I don't know how you do it, but you TikTok live while you do things, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah.
It keeps me from scrolling on my phone. So it's my way of like body doubling because I have ADHD. I work better when I'm alone. I get lazy. I get executive dysfunction, and then I just sit there and just doom scroll, you know? So if I'm doing a time lapse of myself or if someone just sitting with me, I feel like it helps keep me accountable. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to help me. They just have
You're
to
just
be
being
there.
watched.
Yeah.
It's
And then like,
accountability.
yeah. And if nobody's there, because like Carlo's at work, you know, a week at a time.
Yeah.
So I'll just put my phone on TikTok live or some other live and I just do my work on it.
That's awesome. Well, we got to talk about my boy Carlo while we're here.
Yeah.
Your biggest supporter.
My biggest supporter.
You know, it's great because I work with a lot of couples, and I work with a lot of clients who are coupled, engaged, married. And gosh, I have such a great group of partnered people I work with. Like, I love everyone's spouse. And there's just people who really stand out. And like Carlo is definitely one of them. And he just supports you like a man should. You know, like, definitely proud of what he brings to the table. But the few shows you've done where he's not been here, it's felt different. You know, he's such a big part of helping you and cheering you on. And you wouldn't believe it because you partnered with someone like this, but sometimes people will not want to see their client or their partner be successful because sometimes they're a little uncomfortable with bodybuilding and what threats may potentially come with it. But you know, I feel like you never have to worry about that if you're really like a part of their journey, you know, and I think that's so cool. Like I can feel just the love and support every time.
See, I tell
there.
everybody that I would not be doing the sport and I would not be successful in the sport if it wasn't for him. Because like he kind of inspires me. Because like I've never seen somebody like so locked in, like even in the off season. I'm like, that's dedication. I'm like, I could never imagine myself like being that locked in, sticking with a diet, you know, like as a power lifter, I was like bodybuilding. Ooh, like, I don't know if I could ever do that. Like I hate eating the same meals. I hate chicken and rice. Like, what do you mean I have to eat the same thing like all the time? Like that's so boring. I want to go to In-N-Out. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
I ate like shit as a power lifter. But like seeing his passion for the sport and like it just like made me want to give it a try, you know? And he's like always told me like, I think you have really good genetics for, you know, bodybuilding. I think like you have like that it factor that would do really well in bodybuilding. Like you should give it a try. Like if you don't want to, cool. But like, I think you have what it takes. So like you should really consider it, you know?
That's cool.
And I mean, I feel like he's pretty right now that I'm trying my own hand at the sport. And I'm like, I would have thought to do this if it wasn't for him.
That's
you know?
cool. It's like a bonus along the way. Like if you have someone supporting you that well, it's like it's free with the right relationship, you know? So I always tell people like competing so much better when the experience is better and having people you love along with you on the journey truly with you is more than anything, you know?
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Like when I was deep in prep and I would feel like, you know, I don't want to eat. I don't want to make my meals. I feel like I have a harder time keeping up with making the meals rather than actually eating it, you know, because I get tired by the time I'm done making it and now I don't want to eat it. Now I just want to lay down, you know, and like he'll prep and measure out my foods for me when I need it, you know, and I've met other girls like in shows and they're like, my boyfriend would eat my meal preps. And I'm like, what? Like, right? I can't imagine him doing that. Like, I'm like, no, he's measuring it out for me and doing all this for me, you know?
I don't eat my wife's meal preps, but I do eat some of her meals when she's in the off season. I'll call myself out on that right away.
See, at least you can recognize that, you know?
Yeah. I do ask her though before. I'm like, do you care if I eat this? So I should have started with that. Someone's just gonna skip right away and think I'm a jerk.
They're just gonna clip that part.
Yep, exactly. But no, that's so amazing. Well, I'm really looking forward to this year with you and hitting some growth in this short little off-season period that we have and kind of watch what twists and turns you give me along the way.
Yeah, I tend to do that.
I like it. It's kind of I've grown accustomed to it.
You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what curveball I'm gonna throw at you next.
That's great.
He didn't even know I changed my hair until I showed up at his door today. So
I didn't know it was official. So more to come, I'm sure. And it was so great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for joining. And we will see you later, leaner.